Welcome to Monk's Temple. Have you ever felt a tightness in your chest when someone else receives the very thing you've been longing for? A cold shadow that seems to creep in when a friend shares their good news, or a colleague outshines in a way that makes you feel smaller. In the quiet of our own minds, we sometimes meet a familiar, unwelcome guest, a gnawing, comparing, restless energy. Some have called it the green-eyed monster. But in the gentle wisdom of the Buddhist teachings, we come to understand it not as a monster to be feared, but as a signal, a messenger pointing towards something within us that is asking for care and understanding. Today, let us journey together into the heart of this human experience, not with judgment, but with the soft curiosity of a friend. We will explore the landscape of jealousy, not as a flaw, but as a part of the path. This path, illuminated by the timeless wisdom of Buddhism, does not ask us to fight what arises within, but to understand it, to hold it with compassion, and in doing so, to transform it into something beautiful, something liberating. Let me share a story from my own life. Years ago, I was practicing in a monastery, surrounded by fellow students. There was one monk, let's call him Ananda, though that was not his name. His mind was like a still lake, his compassion seemed boundless, and he grasped teachings with an ease that left the rest of us in awe. Every time the teacher praised his insight, I felt a small, sharp stone drop into my own stomach. I would watch him meditate, so serene, and my own mind would churn with thoughts, why can't I be like that? What is wrong with me? I hid these feelings, of course. I told myself I was merely inspired. But in the quiet hours, the jealousy was a bitter taste on my tongue. It poisoned my own practice. My meditation became a race I was losing, and my heart felt closed, even to a brother on the same path. It was only when I finally sat with that feeling, truly admitted its presence without dressing it up, that the door to freedom began to creak open. That admission was the first, most humble step. If you've ever felt a similar pang, know that you are not alone, and this journey of understanding is for you. If you find comfort in these explorations, consider subscribing to this channel, where we walk this path of wisdom together, step by gentle step. Why does this feeling arise? At its core, Buddhism teaches us to look deeply at the nature of the self. Jealousy is a masterful teacher in this regard. It reveals, with stark clarity, the walls of I and mine. We feel jealousy when we perceive a threat to our territory, the territory of our self-image, our status, our possessions, or our worth. We see someone who has more, who is more, and the thought arises, that should be mine. Why do they have it? Their light makes my light seem dim. This is the whisper of mana, or conceit, and isa, the Pali word for envy. It is the painful contraction of a heart that believes in a separate, solid me that must be defended, promoted, and constantly compared. We are, in that moment, trapped in a story of lack, of not enoughness. But the Buddha's radical insight invites us to question the very star of that story, the separate self. To understand this, let us not think of the classic four elements, but imagine instead a vast, ancient forest. In this forest, there is a towering oak, a slender bamboo bending in the wind, a moss clinging to a stone, and a wildflower blooming for a single day. Now, if you were to ask, which is the best, the most successful plant in this forest, the question itself would lose its meaning. The oak does not strive to be the bamboo. The moss does not envy the height of the oak. The wildflower does not mourn its short life compared to the oak's centuries. Each exists in its own suchness, its own perfect expression of life, fulfilling its unique role in the tapestry of the ecosystem. The oak provides shelter, the bamboo gives it strength, the moss holds the moisture, the wildflower offers its fleeting beauty to a passing bee. Their value is not in comparison, but in their complete, irreplaceable being. Our human lives are this forest. We come into this world with different seeds, different talents, different karmic conditions, different purposes. To compare the bamboo of your life with the oak of another's is to create endless suffering. It is to ask the bamboo, why are you not as solid as the oak, and to ask the oak, why do you not bend with such grace? The jealousy we feel is the pain of the bamboo trying to grow oak leaves. It is a rejection of our own seed, our own unique potential to contribute something to this world that only we can give. When we truly see this, the frantic energy of comparison begins to settle. We start to look inward, not to ask, how do I measure up to them? But to ask, what is my own true nature? What are the gifts inherent in my own seed, and how can I nurture them to their fullest bloom? This inward turn is the beginning of the end of the war with others. The competition shifts. It is no longer you against the world, your achievements against theirs. The only meaningful competition becomes the one between who you were yesterday and who you can be today. Can you be a little more patient today? A little more kind? A little more present? Can you understand one more layer of your own heart? This is the battle that brings growth, not bitterness. This is the practice that cultivates inner wealth, which no external circumstance can give or take away. Every small victory in this internal arena, every moment of mindfulness where jealousy is seen and not acted upon, every act of self-compassion when we fall short, is a jewel that enriches the spirit. This is the path laid out by the Buddha. The path of self-conquest, not for the glory of an ego, but for the peace of a heart that knows its own boundless nature. As we continue to sit with this understanding, let's gently explore the fertile ground from which jealousy often springs, the belief in a fixed, unchanging self. Buddhism offers a profound and liberating perspective here, one that can soften the very roots of our comparing mind. We often move through life as if we are a solid statue walking through a world of other statues, bumping into each other, judging each other's polish and pedestal. But what if we are not statues at all? What if we are more like rivers? Consider a mighty river you might know. From a distance, it appears as a single, defined entity, the Colorado River, the Ganges, the Amazon. We give it one name. But is the river you see at dawn the same as the river at noon? Is the water flowing past this bank the same water that flowed past a moment ago? The river is a process, a constant, dynamic flow of countless drops of water, minerals, leaves, and light. It is shaped by the banks, the weather, the sun, and the moon. It has no solid, independent riverness apart from these ever-changing conditions. You cannot point to one drop and say, this is the true river. The river exists in relationship, in constant, fluid becoming. Now, see if you can bring this awareness to the sense of you. Are you the same person you were at 5 years old? Are the thoughts in your mind now the same thoughts from an hour ago? The cells in your body are replacing themselves, your memories shift and fade, your opinions evolve. You are a flowing stream of physical elements, sensations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness, what the Buddha called the 5 aggregates. Like the river, you are a wondrous, interconnected process. There is no fixed, central statue at the core to be defended or promoted. The tight, Anxious I that feels jealous is, upon close inspection, more like a particular whirlpool in the river, a pattern that arises when the conditions are right, but one that will eventually dissolve back into the flow. Seeing this can bring a deep sigh of relief. The I that feels lacking is itself an illusion. You are not a small, separate self fighting for scraps. You are a boundless, flowing expression of life itself. This leads us to a beautiful and counterintuitive practice the Buddha taught, a direct antidote to the constriction of jealousy. It is called mudita. Often translated as sympathetic joy or appreciative gladness, mudita is the radiant ability to find genuine happiness in the happiness and success of others. It is the heart's capacity to celebrate another's good fortune as if it were our own. Why? Because when we see through the illusion of separateness, another's joy is our joy. Their light does not dim ours, it adds to the total light in the world, a world we are intrinsically a part of. Practicing mudita is like the sun rejoicing in the bloom of 1,000 different flowers, never needing to claim one bloom as its own special achievement. Let me share an original story to illustrate this. In a small village, there were two potters. Suman made strong, simple pots, perfect for carrying water from the well. His neighbor, Rohan, had a magical touch. His pots were adorned with intricate patterns and glazes that shone like jewels. Every market day, villagers would crowd around Rohan's stall, marveling at his work, while Suman quietly sold his humble pots. For years, Suman's heart festered. He would look at Rohan's beautiful pots and feel his own work was worthless. He tried to copy the patterns, but his hands, skilled for utility, could not replicate the art. His pots became awkward, and his sales dwindled further. One evening, in despair, he sat by the river, watching the water flow. He saw how the river nourished everything, the reeds, the fish, the trees on the bank, without preference. It simply gave. A thought arose, my pots carry the water that nourishes families. Rohan's pots hold the flowers that bring them beauty. Are they not both vessels for life, in different forms? The next market day, when a customer praised Rohan's work, Suman, for the first time, felt a spontaneous smile. He said, "Yes, are they not magnificent? They bring such color to our village." In that moment, his own heart felt lighter, more colorful. He returned to making his strong, simple pots with love, and people began to appreciate their honest durability. Suman discovered that by rejoicing in Rohan's gift, he did not lose his own. He found it again, and found a friend in the process. This is the alchemy of mudita. It does not mean we ignore our own aspirations. Rather, it creates a spacious, generous heart within which our own growth can happen without the poison of resentment. It turns the perceived threat of another's success into an opportunity for our own heart to expand. We can admire skill without being diminished by it. We can celebrate achievement without feeling left behind. We begin to see the world as a garden where every bloom adds to the overall beauty, and we become grateful gardeners, happy to see any flower thrive. So how do we cultivate this? We start small, like tending a seedling. It begins with intention. Upon waking, before the day's distractions claim you, sit for just a few moments in the soft quiet of the morning. Close your eyes. Feel your breath, the miracle of being alive. Then, gently, silently, offer these wishes. May all beings I encounter today be well. May they be happy. May their efforts bear fruit. May their successes grow. Do not force a feeling, simply plant the seed of the wish. As you go through your day and you see someone shining, a coworker receiving praise, a friend sharing good news, a stranger who seems radiantly happy, pause. Touch that intention you planted. Silently, in your heart, whisper, "How wonderful." May their joy continue. May their success grow. It might feel strange at first, like flexing a long unused muscle. There may be resistance, the old voice of comparison may protest. Acknowledge it, and gently return to the wish. This is the practice. This is how we water the seedling of mudita until it becomes a strong, sheltering tree in our own hearts, under whose shade the green-eyed monster cannot survive. Welcome back, dear friend, as we go further into this transformation of the heart. We've looked at the illusion of the separate self and planted the seed of mudita, appreciative joy. Now, let's explore how to integrate this understanding into the very fabric of our daily lives, turning moments of potential jealousy into opportunities for profound connection and growth. One of the most powerful gateways is gratitude. Jealousy speaks the language of lack, "I don't have what they have." Gratitude speaks the language of abundance, "Look at what is already here." They cannot occupy the same space simultaneously. Cultivating a deliberate practice of gratitude is like lighting a lamp in a dark room, the shadows of envy simply cannot remain. But this gratitude, in the spirit of the Buddha's teaching, goes beyond a simple list of things I'm thankful for. It becomes a deep, contemplative recognition of interdependence. Consider the device you are using to listen to this. For it to exist, miners extracted metals from the earth, engineers across continents designed its components, factory workers assembled it with care, drivers transported it, store clerks sold it. The sunlight grew the plants that fed the people who did all that work. Rainwater filled the reservoirs that powered the factories. Countless lives, elements, and conditions converged across space and time so that you could hold this marvel in your hand. This is true for every single aspect of your life: the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the knowledge you possess. You are the living nexus of an infinite web of giving. When you contemplate this, not just intellectually but feel it in your bones, the mind that feels jealous, that feels it deserves more from this web, begins to quiet. Instead, a sense of humble wonder arises. You realize you are already supported beyond measure. Your unique contribution to this web is not to grab more from it out of fear, but to add your own thread of kindness, skill, and presence with gratitude. Let me tell you a story about a painter named Ilara. Ilara struggled terribly with jealousy. She would visit galleries and feel physically sick seeing the acclaim other artists received. She'd return to her studio, her own brushstrokes feeling clumsy and worthless in comparison. Her art, once her joy, became a source of torment. One day, overwhelmed, she threw down her brushes and left her city studio for a walk in the nearby hills. She sat by an old, gnarled tree, feeling as twisted inside as its branches. As she sat, her artist's eye began to truly see the tree. She saw the lichen clinging to its bark, not as a flaw, but as a symbiotic partner. She saw the bird's nest tucked in a crook, a home made from its offering. She saw how its fallen leaves were becoming soil at its base, nourishing its own roots. She saw the light filtering through its leaves, creating patterns on the earth. In that moment, she didn't see a tree competing with the others on the hill. She saw a universe of relationship, of giving and receiving. Ilara returned to her studio not with a plan to paint better than others, but with a new question: what is my unique ecosystem? What do I give, and what is given to me? She began a series of paintings she called The Web. Each piece depicted the hidden connections in ordinary things: a loaf of bread showing the field, the farmer, the sun, the rain. A child's laugh showing the chain of love that produced it. She stopped going to galleries to compare, and started going to connect, to see the unique ecosystem in each artist's work. Her jealousy dissolved, replaced by a vibrant curiosity and a deep thankfulness for her own place in the vast web of creation. Her work flourished not from competition, but from connection. This is the practice: to shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of radical interconnectedness. When you feel the pang of jealousy, use it as a mindfulness bell. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what is the lack I am feeling right now? Can I touch the abundance that is already present? Look at your own two hands. See them not as tools to grasp what others have, but as instruments to contribute, to hold, to comfort, to create. Feel the air filling your lungs, a gift from the plant kingdom. Remember one genuine act of kindness you received this week. In this space of gratitude, the tight fist of jealousy naturally begins to open. Furthermore, the Buddha's path encourages us to reflect on the impermanent nature of all conditions, including success and status. The person you envy today may face struggles tomorrow. Your own situation is in constant flux. This is not a call to cynicism, but to a profound equanimity. When we see the fleeting, dancing nature of all worldly achievements, our desperate clinging to them, and our resentment of others who seem to have them, lessens. We begin to wish for a deeper, more stable happiness for ourselves and others, the happiness that comes from wisdom and a compassionate heart, which are the only true possessions. So, as you move through your days, practice being a connoisseur of goodness, wherever you find it. See the barista's skill in crafting coffee art, and mentally applaud. Hear of a former classmate's success, and send a silent wish for it to continue. See a parent handling a tantrum with patience, and honor their strength. Each time you do this, you are not giving something away. You are strengthening a mental muscle that will, in time, become your default setting. You are building an inner fortress of contentment that no external event can shake. You are practicing a form of deep integrity, aligning your heart with the truth of interconnection that the Buddha revealed. In this part of our journey, let's explore a more subtle and transformative approach, inviting jealousy itself to be our teacher. In the light of mindful awareness, no emotion is an enemy. Every emotion, even the painful ones, carries a message, a packet of information about our inner landscape. When we meet jealousy not with shame or suppression, but with a gentle, investigative curiosity, it can reveal to us our deepest, often unseen, desires and fears. Imagine you are walking through a dense fog. You see a dim, ominous shape ahead. Fear arises. You could run, believing it to be a monster. But what if you walk slowly, patiently toward it? As you get closer, the shape clarifies. It's not a monster, but an ancient, knotted tree, its form twisted by time and wind. There is even beauty in its resilience. Jealousy is like that shape in the fog. Its initial form is threatening, but when we have the courage to approach it with the lamp of mindfulness, we see its true components, perhaps a deep-seated fear of being unworthy, a forgotten childhood message that love is conditional on achievement, or an unexamined belief that there is only a finite amount of success or love in the world. By understanding these roots, we can address the real cause, not just prune the visible weed. A story comes to mind, about a musician named Leo. Leo was a talented cellist, but he was perpetually tormented by the career of a virtuoso violinist, Matteo, who was always in the spotlight. Every time Leo read a rave review of Matteo's performance, he would spiral into self-doubt and bitterness. One day, during a meditation retreat, the instruction was to simply sit with a difficult emotion. Leo invited his jealousy in. Instead of pushing it away, he asked, "What are you trying to tell me?" In the quiet space that followed, images arose, not of concert halls, but of his stern father, who only praised the best. He felt the old ache of never feeling enough. Then, another layer emerged, a deep, buried love not for fame, but for the sheer, soulful resonance of the cello itself, the way its sound could make a single heart feel understood. His jealousy was a confused signal. It was pointing to his own unmet need for self-validation and his disconnectedness from his pure, original love for his art. From that day, Leo's practice changed. Before playing, he would connect with that love. He stopped reading reviews of other musicians. He started a small group that played in hospices, where the connection between music and heart was immediate and profound. He found his own spotlight, one that illuminated meaning rather than fame. His jealousy, once a tormentor, had become the guide that led him back to his authentic joy. This is the work. When jealousy arises, create a pause. Breathe into the tightness in your chest. Mentally say, "Ah, jealousy is here." Then, with kindness, ask it questions. What is the specific pain here? What do I believe I lack? Is that belief absolutely true? What is a deeper desire underneath this feeling? You might discover it's not the other person's success you crave, but their confidence. Not their possessions, but their sense of peace. This investigation turns the energy of jealousy from a destructive force into a constructive inquiry, leading you back to your own values and your own path. The Buddha's teachings ultimately guide us toward anatta, or not self, and sunyata, or emptiness. These are profound truths that, when glimpsed, dissolve the very ground jealousy stands on. They point to the reality that all phenomena, ourselves, our achievements, the objects of our envy, are empty of independent, permanent existence. They are interdependent events, shimmering into being based on countless causes and conditions, and destined to fade. The great success you envy is a temporary constellation of effort, timing, support, and luck. Your failure is the same. When this is seen, not as a philosophical idea but as a direct experience of life fluidity, the heavy weight of comparison falls away. We are left participating in a magnificent, ever-changing dance, where each dancer's move is unique, necessary, and fleeting. To envy another dancer's step is to miss the beauty of your own movement and the music that holds you both. So, let your path be one of authentic expression, not comparison. Your life is an original masterpiece in progress. The brushstrokes of your actions, the colors of your emotions, the composition of your relationships, no one else can create this. The world does not need another copy of someone else's life. It needs the full, fearless expression of your life, with all its unique textures and tones. When you commit to this, jealousy loses its purpose. You become too busy honoring your own journey to covet another's. As we bring this exploration to a close, remember that the heart's training is the gentlest and most important work you will ever do. It is not done in a day. There will be moments when the old patterns arise. Meet them with the tools we've shared, the admission, the understanding of difference, the practice of mudita, the cultivation of gratitude, and the curious inquiry. Each time you do, you are weaving a new pattern, one of freedom and expansive joy. May you walk in this world with a light heart, appreciating the bloom in every garden without needing to pluck it for your own. May your own unique flower grow strong and beautiful, nourished by the simple joy of being itself. And may the wisdom of the Buddha's path be a gentle, guiding light on your way. Let us now turn our attention inward, to a practice so profound yet so simple that it can transform the very soil of the heart where jealousy takes root. In the stillness of your own awareness, you can cultivate a sanctuary, a place untouched by comparison, a refuge of pure being. This is the gift of mindfulness, a cornerstone of the Buddha's path to liberation. It is not about emptying the mind, but about filling it with a compassionate presence that sees all things as they are, without immediately reacting to them. Imagine your mind as a vast, clear sky. Thoughts, emotions, and sensations are like weather patterns, clouds of worry, storms of anger, gentle breezes of joy, and the dark, gathering clouds of jealousy. We often mistake ourselves for the weather. When jealousy arises, we believe, "I am jealous," and we get lost in the storm, buffeted by its winds of resentment and rains of self-pity. But mindfulness invites us to remember, we are the sky, not the weather. The sky holds the storm without being damaged by it. The sky is spacious, aware, and fundamentally unchanged by the passing clouds. Your true nature is this sky-like awareness, capacious, clear, and undisturbed at its depth. When you feel the first stirrings of jealousy, perhaps a tightness in the jaw when a colleague is praised, a sinking feeling when a friend shares exciting news, this is your moment of practice. Instead of being swept into the story, "This isn't fair, I should be the one," pause. Take one conscious breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. In that breath, create a sliver of space. In that space, simply name the weather, "Jealousy is here." Say it softly, internally, like a scientist noting a phenomenon. Tightness in the chest is present. The thought of comparison is arising. By naming it, you create a gentle separation. You are not the jealousy, you are the aware space witnessing it. This simple act of recognition is a revolutionary act of freedom. Let me share a story about a woman named Maya. Maya worked in a bustling design firm. She was talented, but she constantly measured her worth against her peer, Clara, who seemed to win every major client. One day, after losing a project to Clara, Maya felt the familiar heat of envy rise. But instead of spiraling into negative self-talk, she remembered the sky. She excused herself, went to a quiet stairwell, and simply stood there. She felt her feet on the floor. She listened to her own breath. She noticed the physical sensations, the clenched stomach, the hot face. She silently said, "Jealousy. Hurt. Fear." She didn't try to change it. She just allowed it to be there, held in the space of her awareness. After a few minutes, something shifted. The storm of emotion didn't disappear, but it lost its urgency. It was just weather passing through her sky. She returned to her desk with a calm clarity. Later, she was even able to genuinely congratulate Clara, not as a defeated rival, but as a colleague sharing the same professional sky. The jealousy had been witnessed, not fought, and in that witnessing, it lost its power to control her actions. This practice of being the sky requires patience. The clouds of jealousy are often thick and persistent, especially if they have been forming for years. But every time you remember to pause and breathe, you are strengthening your inner sky. You are training in vipassana, or insight meditation, seeing things as they really are. You begin to see jealousy not as a personal failing, but as an impersonal bundle of conditioned thoughts and bodily sensations. It arises due to causes, seeing another's success, the thought of lack, and it will pass when those conditions change. This insight itself is deeply liberating. It transfers your identity from the fragile, jealous self to the stable, witnessing awareness. In your daily life, you can cultivate this sky-like mind through brief, intentional pauses. Set a reminder on your phone to stop 3 times a day. For 1 minute, put everything down. Close your eyes if you can. Feel your body. Listen to the sounds around you. Notice the flow of thoughts without following them. In these moments, you are not an employee, a parent, a success, or a failure. You are pure awareness, the silent sky behind all roles. The more familiar you become with this sky within, the less you will be shaken by the changing weather of external circumstances and the perceived successes of others. Your sense of worth becomes anchored not in what you have or achieve compared to others, but in the profound, unshakable fact of your own conscious presence. This is the deep inner security that the Buddha pointed to, a happiness that is independent of conditions. When this grows, jealousy finds no foothold. There is nothing to defend, because your true self, the sky, can never be diminished. Others' achievements become like beautiful, passing cloud formations in your vast expanse, to be admired without attachment. You are free to appreciate them fully, because you know they do not define you, just as the clouds do not define the sky. As we deepen our journey, we come to a tender and essential crossroads. We have learned to see jealousy as weather in our sky, to practice appreciative joy, and to investigate its roots. But what of the ache that remains? What of the raw, vulnerable place inside that feels so easily threatened? Here, the Buddha's boundless compassion offers us the most healing balm, the practice of turning kindness inward. Often, jealousy is not just a desire for what others have, it is a manifestation of a much older pain. A harshness toward ourselves, a belief that we are fundamentally not enough. To dissolve jealousy, we must first learn to be a friend to the one who feels it. We are often our own worst critics. We hold ourselves to impossible standards and then punish ourselves with envy when we see others who seem to meet them. This inner critic speaks in the voice of jealousy, "See? They did it. You failed. You are lacking." The antidote is metta, or loving kindness. While mudita is the joy for others' success, metta is the unconditional friendliness we learn to direct first toward ourselves, then toward all beings. It begins with a radical, gentle acceptance. In this moment, I am exactly as I am, with this feeling of jealousy, and that is okay. I can hold this part of myself with care. Picture a young child who has just lost a race. They are crying, feeling defeated, glaring at the winner. What does that child need? Not a lecture on sportsmanship, not a comparison to others. They need a warm embrace. They need someone to say, "I see you're hurting. It's okay to feel sad. You are loved, exactly as you are. The part of you that feels jealous is that child. It is a wounded, scared part that believes its worth is tied to winning. Can you put down the whip of self-judgment and, instead, offer that inner child an embrace? Let me tell you about a man named David. David was a writer who watched with simmering envy as his friends published books to great acclaim. His own manuscript was rejected repeatedly. His jealousy was corrosive, but underneath it was a torrent of self-loathing. I'm a fraud. I'll never be good enough. One night, in despair, he recalled a teaching on metta. He sat on his floor, placed a hand over his heart, and began, haltingly, to offer phrases to himself, not because he believed them, but as an experiment. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I accept my feelings. May I be free from this suffering. At first, it felt mechanical, even silly. But he persisted. Every time a jealous thought about his friends arose, he would acknowledge it, then gently return to the mantra, may I be well. May I be peaceful. Over weeks, something softened. The harsh inner critic, which fueled the jealousy, began to lose its dominance. He started to see his writing not as a ticket to validation, but as an expression of his own voice, worthy simply because it was his. When his next rejection came, he felt disappointment, but not the old collapse into envy. He could genuinely feel happy for his friends, because his own sense of worth was no longer on the line. The practice of self-compassion had built an inner sanctuary of safety where jealousy could no longer thrive. How do we practice this? It can be as simple as a hand on the heart. When you notice jealousy, pause. Feel the emotion in your body. Then, silently or aloud, offer yourself these words of metta. May I be gentle with myself right now. May I accept these difficult feelings. May I find peace within this moment. May I remember my inherent worth. Do not demand that the jealousy vanish. Simply hold the one who is jealous with kindness. This is the true meaning of strength in the Buddha's way. The courage to meet our own vulnerability with tenderness. From this foundation of self-compassion, our capacity for mudita, sympathetic joy for others, becomes authentic and effortless. It is impossible to truly rejoice in another's good fortune if we are secretly punishing ourselves for not having it. But when we have made peace with our own being, when we have touched our own inherent sufficiency, then another's success feels like a celebration for the whole human family of which we are a cherished part. Their light does not threaten ours, it reminds us of the light we are cultivating within. This compassionate approach extends even to the understanding of the person you might envy. Often, we envy a curated snapshot of their life, the achievement, the accolade, the possession. We rarely see the struggles, doubts, and sacrifices that lie beneath. The Buddha taught that all beings wish to be happy and free from suffering, just as you do. The person you envy is, on this fundamental level, no different from you. They are navigating their own path of hopes and fears. Seeing this shared humanity can melt the isolating illusion of jealousy and replace it with a sense of kinship. You can wish for their well-being not as a superior spiritual exercise, but as a natural expression of heart connection. Just as I wish to be free from suffering, may you be free. Just as I wish to find genuine happiness, may you find it. In this way, the path away from jealousy becomes a path toward profound connection, with yourself and with all of life. It is a journey from contraction to expansion, from isolation to belonging. By meeting your own heart with compassion, you heal the wounds that jealousy exposes, and you build an inner world so rich and secure that the fortunes of others become causes for shared celebration, not private pain. We now arrive at a stream of wisdom that runs deep through the Buddhist teachings, the understanding of anicca, or impermanence, and the practice of non-attachment. Jealousy is, at its core, a form of attachment. We are attached to a specific outcome. A promotion, recognition, a certain status, and we suffer when we see it bestowed upon another. We are attached to a story of who we should be, and we suffer when reality does not match that story. But what if we learn to hold our hopes and dreams more lightly, like leaves floating on the surface of a river, not like stones we must carry in our pockets? Life is in constant motion. Seasons change, rivers carve new paths, civilizations rise and fall. Your own life is a testament to this flow. The child you were is gone, the thoughts you had this morning have passed, the cells in your body are continually renewing. Everything you experience, pleasure, pain, success, failure, is a passing wave in the ocean of consciousness. To be attached is to try to clutch a wave, to demand that this particular configuration of water and foam remain still and belong to you. It is the source of immense suffering. Non-attachment is not indifference or coldness. It is the wise and gentle understanding that to live fully is to participate in the flow, to appreciate each wave deeply as it arises, without trying to freeze it in place or begrudge the waves that others are riding. Consider the art of sand mandala, practiced by Tibetan Buddhist monks. For days or weeks, they painstakingly create an intricate, breathtaking masterpiece from millions of grains of colored sand. They pour their full concentration, artistry, and devotion into this creation. Then, upon its completion, in a powerful ceremony, they sweep it all up and pour the sand into a flowing river. They are not attached to the form. They understand the impermanent nature of all compounded things. The beauty was in the sacred act of creation and the offering of its transient form back to the flow of life. Your achievements, your possessions, even your talents, are like that sand mandala. They are beautiful, worthy expressions in their time, but they are not you, and they are not permanent. To cling to them, or to covet another's mandala, is to miss the profound freedom of the process itself. I recall a story about a gardener named Mr. Tanaka. He cultivated the most magnificent bonsai trees in his village, each one a miniature world of beauty and patience. A wealthy collector once offered him a fortune for his prized pine bonsai, a tree he had nurtured for 30 years. Mr. Tanaka refused. Yet, when a young, passionate student showed a natural gift for the art but had no money for materials, Mr. Tanaka gifted him that very tree. His neighbors were aghast. How could you give away your masterpiece? You've lost your greatest achievement. Mr. Tanaka smiled and said, "The tree was never mine to keep. I was its caretaker for a season. Now, it is his to learn from. My joy was in the shaping, the daily communion. That joy is not lost, it is complete. Another's joy is now beginning." He felt no jealousy as he watched the student's skills later surpass his own. He felt the satisfaction of the river flowing onward. His attachment was to the art of care, not to the object of his care. This is non-attachment in action, deep engagement without possessive clinging. How do we bring this into our own lives? Begin by noticing the subtle attachments that fuel jealousy. You are attached to the idea of being the best in your field. You are attached to receiving credit. You are attached to a certain social standing. When you feel the sting of jealousy, ask, what am I attached to here? What story am I clinging to that is causing me pain? Then, reflect on impermanence. Remember that this situation, this feeling, this other person's success, and your own current state are all in flux. Nothing stays. This is not a depressing thought, it is the key to liberation. It means that your suffering, too, is impermanent. It means that new opportunities for growth and joy are always possible. Practice engaging with your goals and work with full heart, but with open hands. Pour your energy into your own sand mandala, your project, your relationships, your personal growth. Do it with excellence and love. But hold the results lightly. Celebrate completion, then be ready to let the form change or dissolve. When you see someone else's beautiful mandala, admire it. Appreciate its colors and patterns. Know that it, too, will one day return to the river. Your worth is not in the permanence of your creation, but in the quality of your attention and intention during the act of creating. This mindset cultivates a profound inner resilience and a lightheartedness that jealousy cannot penetrate. You become like a bamboo tree, bending gracefully in the winds of change, others' successes, your own setbacks, because you are not rigidly attached to being an unmoving oak. You find security not in what you have, but in your capacity to flow with what is. This is the freedom the Buddha taught. Freedom from the shackles of craving and aversion, which include the craving for what others have and the aversion to their having it. In that freedom, you discover a peace that is not dependent on the ever-changing world. You can truly celebrate all expressions of life, including those that shine in a different way than your own, because you are no longer trying to arrest the river. You are joyfully swimming in its boundless current. We have journeyed together through understanding, compassion, and wisdom. Now, let us weave all these threads into a tangible tapestry of daily life, a practical, gentle discipline to nurture a heart that is immune to the poisons of comparison and rich in genuine joy. The Buddha's path is not a philosophy to be admired, but a way of being to be lived, one mindful moment at a time. Here is an offering, a suggested rhythm of practice that can help you cultivate the inner garden where jealousy cannot grow. Morning, setting the compass of the heart. Upon waking, before reaching for your phone or rushing into the day's demands, give yourself the gift of 5 minutes. Sit comfortably, perhaps by a window. Feel the support of the chair or floor beneath you. Take 3 deep, conscious breaths. Then, gently initiate the 4 immeasurables, Brahmaviharas. The sublime abidings that are the heart's true home. First, metta, loving kindness. Place your hands gently on your heart. Silently offer, may I be safe. May I be healthy. May I live with ease and kindness. Feel the wish radiating inward, softening any residual hardness from sleep. Second, karuna, compassion. Acknowledge the universal truth of suffering. May I be free from inner and outer harm. May I hold my difficulties with tenderness. Third, mudita, appreciative joy. Bring to mind someone you easily love, a child, a dear friend. Recall their happiness. May your joy and good fortune continue. May your successes grow. Feel the smile that arises from celebrating their well-being. Fourth, upekkha, equanimity reflect on the law of cause and effect and the nature of impermanence. All beings are the owners of their karma. Happiness and suffering depend on their actions and conditions. May I accept the changing flow of life with balance and peace. This sequence sets your inner compass toward connection, kindness, and wisdom for the day ahead. Throughout the day, the pause of recognition. As you move through your world, let your mindfulness be your anchor. When a triggering moment arises, a social media post, a workplace announcement, a friend's story, that sparks the old familiar clench of jealousy, practice the STOP method. S. Stop. Freeze whatever you are doing. T. Take a breath. Feel the inhalation and exhalation. O. Observe. What is happening inside? Name it: jealousy, tightness, the story of I'm less than. P. Proceed with wisdom. From that clearer space, choose a wise response. Perhaps it's whispering a mudita wish for the other person. Perhaps it's offering a metta phrase to yourself. Perhaps it's simply returning to your task with renewed presence, having let the wave of emotion pass through your sky. Evening, the garden of gratitude. Before sleep, take a few moments for gratitude journaling or reflection. Do not just list generalities. Be specific and lean into interdependence. I am grateful for the warm meal I ate, which connected me to the farmers, the rain, the earth. I am grateful for the small kindness from the bus driver. I am grateful for one thing I learned today. Then, gently review the day. When did jealousy arise? Without judgment, replay the moment. Could you see the attachment? The story of a separate self. Forgive yourself completely for any reactive thoughts. See it as training, not failing. End by offering metta to anyone involved in that day's challenges, including yourself. May we all be free from suffering. May we all find peace. Weekly, the practice of inspired action. Once a week, engage in an act that actively celebrates another's success or cultivates your own unique path without comparison. This could be sending a genuine, detailed message of congratulations or appreciation to someone you might have previously envied. Dedicating time to a hobby or skill purely for the joy of learning, with no intention of sharing it on social media. Consuming media that inspires mudita, documentaries about people doing good in the world, biographies that focus on perseverance rather than just triumph. Remember, this is a path of gentle cultivation, not forceful perfection. Some days, the green-eyed monster will seem very real. On those days, your practice is simply to be kind to the one who is afraid of the monster. The ultimate goal is not to become a person who never feels a flicker of jealousy, but to become a person whose heart is so spacious, so grounded in awareness and compassion, that jealousy arises and passes like a breeze through an open window, leaving no trace, disturbing nothing essential. You are on a sacred journey of returning home to your own boundless nature. A nature that does not need to compare, because it is already whole. A nature that does not need to possess, because it is intimately connected to all things. A nature that can rejoice in all manifestations of life, because it recognizes them as expressions of the same miraculous awareness that you are. Walk gently, dear friend. Water the seeds of mudita and metta. Rest in the sky of your awareness. Flow with the river of impermanence. In doing so, you are not only freeing yourself from jealousy, you are contributing to a world of greater kindness, one heart at a time. The Buddha's wisdom is a lamp. You have chosen to light it within yourself. Let it shine. This concludes our exploration. May you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you be free.